Hi, this is Phil DeBella, and if you don't know already, in 2022 May, I'll be putting the dancing shoes on with my daughter Annika for Dancing CEOs Queensland. She can dance and I can't, but the journey's going to be fun. And we're doing it all for a great cause. So Dancing CEOs has been around for a long time here in Brisbane. It's an amazing organisation and charity event. They raised over $500,000 this year, and I look forward to it in 2022. If you can give $5, $500, $5,000, whatever you can would be great to support a great cause. It goes to Women's Legal Services Queensland, who make sure that women and children that are affected by domestic violence are looked after. So a great cause, 100% tax deducted, no admin fees, which is something that we love about it. 100% of your donation goes to helping those that need it. So support Annika, support myself, and support Dancing CEOs. The link is provided below. Please give what you can. Hi, this is Phil DeBella, and you're listening to FlashCast by PDB. And we've had a wonderful 2021 with many downloads, and we've been in the top 10 list of podcasts in Australia. Thank you to all our listeners. So we've put together a special series of reruns of those that have been most popular and most downloaded. Enjoy them again or share them with family and friends.
Hi, you're listening to Phil DeBella, and this is FlashCast by PDB. Today's topic is all around investing. And I'm going to cover off a few core financial principles that I use when it comes to investing. I'm also going to talk about some specific investment principles, and then touch a little bit of base on how Warren Buffett goes around. And some of this information is also brought to you by my good friend Steve Sorbello, who's one of the top executives and partners up at BDO in Brisbane. So thank you, Steve, for your input and guidance and philosophies. We share a lot of obviously the same, but this flashcast now put together will be from information based by myself and both Steve Sorbello from BDO. So in short, let's get straight into it. Tools for investing once you've made some money. Again, so I get asked this a lot and how I invest and what have I done. And don't get me wrong, I've made my mistakes. And I don't think anyone would say that they've never made a mistake when it came to investing money or investing in something or someone. We all do it. Of course, the precursor is always get comfortable with your worst possible scenario. So rule number one is always make sure that you're comfortable with your worst possible scenario. I've never invested in anyone or anything where I haven't been prepared to lose the money. And I have to say that if you take away nothing else from this flashcast, that is the most important message, is that I've never invested in anyone or anything or any project, any share, any cafe, any business that I haven't been fully aware that the worst possible scenario would be that I would lose my entire money. And it has happened, which I'll discuss a little bit later on. So I think if you always start off with that principle and finish with that principle, you'll never go wrong. You'll lose money in the meantime. You might lose friendships. You might lose whatever. But whatever it is you lose, you've got to be prepared that you're comfortable with that worst possible scenario. And once you are, you don't have anything holding you back. The next thing to be very aware of is before investing, consider the amount of money that you need to live comfortably. That's very important. Remember, the topic is what to do with investing money once you've made some money. Well, you need to make sure that you're very, very aware of what your lifestyle costs you. You need to make sure that you have a budget. What is it going to cost you, especially when you have children, especially, your house, your income, your cars? What is it that life costs you to live per annum? You need to know this number. Very important. The next thing is that once you've worked out this number, my rule is never to invest or use my house as collateral. So my personal home, I don't use that as collateral for any other investments. I've obviously been able to pay it off. And it's paid off, and I don't borrow against that to make other investments because, again, the worst possible scenario is that I don't want to lose my own home. Understanding the level of income you need from that investment that you make. So when you're going about making an investment, making sure that you understand exactly what income you need or desire from the investment you're making. Is it a 2% return, a 5% return? What is it that you're actually looking at? And obviously developers are very prudent on that. They're looking from a 10 to 20% return on their investment. Obviously 10% in the low market, 20% to them is an average, and above that is fantastic, as a rule of thumb, of course. But you really got to be aware of what the level of income you're looking at from the investment that you're making. Make sure that you have included all purchases of cars and depreciable assets in your personal expenditure calculations. And of course, this one you can tell came from the super guru accountant, Steve Sorbello. A lot of people forget that you've got added expenses like the purchasing of cars and depreciating assets when you're calculating, personal expenditure, so that you make sure you don't get it wrong with how much income you have to then be able to invest. A really good one, and again, one of Steve's, is don't invest in non-income producing and depreciable assets with your capital. Only invest them with the income generated from your capital. So really, really good tip there. Do not invest in a non-income producing and depreciable asset with your capital. Only invest them with the income generated by your capital. So unless you're going to put your money somewhere where it's actually making money, then you don't buy it with the capital, you buy it with the income generated from that capital. A really good tip that you hear a lot of people say is stay married. If you want to keep your wealth, and it sounds stupid, and no, it's not a joke, of course, divorce costs a lot of money. Some will argue that the reason divorce is so expensive is because it's worth it. I hardly doubt that. But yet, it's what works for you. So this isn't a marriage counseling session. This is about obviously wealth and income and making money. And of course, one good way to lose money is to not stay married. So stupid as it sounds, it is a very, very obvious tip. And another one is to come up with a plan and talk to, people that you trust financially. Now, that's financial advisors, that's firms like BDO, or firm of choice, or any one of people that you know and trust, but to have a really good group of people around you that can help you develop a plan and give you some advice. So the next part of this is some investment principles that I look towards, and this comes from experience of having made some really good investments and some poor ones. But only invest in assets that you understand. Now, I'm guilty of this. I developed one of the world's first espresso martinis ready to drink in a can. It was an amazing product. It was excellent in every way, except that I didn't understand the alcohol market, didn't understand the boundaries to entry and how much money you needed in the deep pockets. And of course, whilst the product was great, it was innovative, it was new, it was something that solved the problem, it was in demand, I didn't understand the industry. I was not an expert in the alcohol industry, and certainly wasn't prepared to lose millions of dollars in trying to get my product out there. So that business actually went nowhere. Invest in assets that are managed by a proven management team. So if you're going to put money into investment, and term deposits into management assets, give it to brokers, whatever it is, only invest in assets that are managed by a proven management team. So it's all about the people. I know that Steve Baxter, who I know quite well, and was on Shark Tank, used to say that all the time and still does. One of his principles is you're investing in people. It doesn't matter how good the product or service is, unless the people are really good, then it doesn't matter. The management team and the people running the company is where the investment's actually being made. So it's all about investing in the right people, which leads on to the next part. Never invest in a business that relies on just one person. So this is obviously very, very important. You can't invest in businesses or products or services that only rely on the one person, because it's the same as putting all the eggs in one basket. And if something goes wrong, it can go drastically wrong. Now, the next part is about invest in assets where it's the risk of losing your capital is low. So it's okay that it might sit stagnant and not make you money for a while, but don't put it into assets where you can risk losing your money. And that's why you see a lot of people that actually don't follow shares, or if they do follow shares, it's blue chip shares only, because the blue chip shares might fluctuate. They might go down, they might go up, as they do, but the risk of losing shares and losing your money in, say, a BHP or a Commonwealth Bank or National Bank is very low, versus putting money into shares of upcoming companies or companies that are not blue chip investments. So, you need to make sure that you're very clear. Now, they're just some of the principles that are obviously very, very important. Now, let me share some of Warren Buffett's investment principles. And again, this was provided by my dear friend, Steve Sorbello. He does a lot of reading and looking, and obviously is guru in the finance and money area. But Warren Buffett says, number one, businesses with demonstrated consistent earning power is where you want your money to go. So businesses with demonstrated consistent earning power. Future projects are of no interest to him, nor are turnaround situations. He only invests in businesses that are earning good returns on equity while employing little or no debt. So he's very, very debt averse. Number three is management in place. If we can't supply it, we don't do it. So we need to make sure that the management is in place and he has a hand to play in it so that he can have influence. Number four is simple businesses. If there's lots of technology, we won't understand it. And if we won't understand it, we don't invest in it. So they're four principles of Warren Buffett. Very, very simple philosophy that he faces in how he invests money. So, of course, I hope that the Flashcast has helped. At the end of the day, investments are personal, and don't forget that investments are not just about startups, or they're not just about shares or property. There's many different types of investments, and be very very aware that you're actually investing in people. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is it doesn't matter how good the product or service is. It doesn't matter what problem it solves. It can be an amazing product. It can be an amazing service. But if it's not run, if it's not executed and it's not managed by the right people, then there is no business. Or it's going to be what we call a volatile business, where it's here today, gone tomorrow. So in recapping, the number one message out of this is always get comfortable with your worst possible scenario. Make sure that once you're in a position to invest in a person, in a product or a service, that you are comfortable with the worst possible thing that can happen. And number two, remember that it's all around people. Number three, make sure that you're never investing and borrowing against your family home. Have your core assets protected at all times. And number four, please know how much it costs you and your family to live every year. So my top four key takeaways are that you've been listening to Phil DeBella. Until next time, be the best you can be.